Russian media is reporting talks are underway between Russia and the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. This comes after the Ukrainian defense minister says productive negotiations were held with the U.S. yesterday. Meanwhile, Russia's attacks against Ukraine are intensifying. Overnight, Ukraine's Air Force says Russia fired 99 drones across the country, despite the White House's push for a ceasefire deal to end Moscow's three-year war. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins me for more on that. Patrick, what's the latest on these talks in Saudi Arabia?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, as you say, Russian media reports that these talks have begun in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh, and that they are ongoing. They're taking place between a U.S. and Russian delegation in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and this was expected. We know that the Trump administration had agreed to have these talks on a technical level. The idea, we understand from the White House and the Kremlin, is to focus firstly on this agreed 30-day pause on energy infrastructure strikes that Vladimir Putin agreed to, but so far has not really been fully observing, as we've seen Russia continue to strike energy infrastructure in Ukraine. It's also, we understand publicly from a Kremlin aide, that it's going to focus on a pause on operations in the Black Sea. This would actually restore something that Russia agreed to back in 2022, but then backed out of, which is launching strikes against Ukraine. But the White House is being extremely bullish about the potential of these talks to try and move towards peace. But in reality, these steps are very limited. First of all, the Black Sea, potential Black Sea pause, if it were to be agreed, is something that de facto has almost already happened, because Ukraine has been able to sink most of Russia's much of Russia's Black Sea fleet and push it back out of range. And that also we've seen also Russia continuing these strikes on energy infrastructure. So far, I think it's going to be a big test if Russia continues to strike energy infrastructure, despite claiming it wants to have a pause and have this sort of temporary ceasefire on energy infrastructure. If it continues to do that, that will show that the Kremlin really doesn't have that much interest in a full-scale ceasefire at the moment, Diane.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy is calling for pressure on Putin to stop these strikes. So what do you make of Russia's continued attacks on Ukraine during these talks for peace? Is that just par for the course, or is this a specific strategy?
Yeah, Diane, I mean, as you say, we're seeing very intensive Russian airstrikes continuing across Ukraine, including strikes that have damaged energy infrastructure, despite President Putin claiming to have given an order to stop those. And I think it is significant. I think it speaks to Russia's tactics at the moment in these negotiations, which appears to be, let's try and drag them out, try and make it appear, particularly to the Trump administration, that we are willing to have real peace negotiations, while in reality trying to increase the pressure militarily on Ukraine, both on the battlefield but also continuing to strike. I think this will be a crucial test. If we see that ultimately Russia does start to observe this pause on strikes on energy infrastructure, that would mean perhaps they really are starting to engage seriously with this peace negotiations. But if they continue to do it while claiming that they're not, I think that will obviously be a strong signal that the Kremlin is not really interested at the moment in trying to reach any kind of meaningful ceasefire, Diane.
All right, Patrick Reevell, thank you.